Hi, hello, hi. So as many of you probably already know, I'm presently studying to become an art teacher. So I'm in university right now in art education, and some pretty cool stuff is going on. One of those things is presently I'm working on a research project where we are interviewing people ages 16 to 24 about making artwork online with others and stuff like that. So given that this is actually a collaborative research project, this video itself is actually going to be collaborative. We have a guest. Today, I have with me Dr. Juan Castro, who is the chairperson of my department and also a really cool guy. And he's going to be talking to us about this project in more detail and also a little bit about art education. Just a bunch of nerdy art stuff. Just don't worry, it's going to be fun. If you're interested in signing up to participate in this research, finding out more or anything like that, you can just go straight to the description and there will be links there. But otherwise, you can stick around and we're actually going to talk about it here today. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce you all to Dr. Juan Castro.
Thank you, Aaron. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about the research project we're doing and have a conversation about our work together. We are working on this project called Digital Visual Learning Networks, and we are seeking 16 to 24-year-olds who make art on their own and love making art and want to talk about it.
Why, in your opinion, is this study important?
I think this study is important because what it does is it provides educators the opportunity to learn from young people. We feel that we have a lot to learn from you, and what we will learn will help us to make better curriculum in schools and also help us to do a better job of training teachers. The key to making engaging education inside a school, inside a formal education, we really have to make it relevant. We really have to make it connect with the lives of the people who are inhabiting those formal schooling spaces.
Absolutely. We're going to go back now, so this is going to be a learning experience for us all. I have some questions for one myself. So what was it that inspired you to go into teaching and art education?
Oh, great question. For a lot of educators, they talk about having a transformative experience with art teachers in their lives, and I'm no exception. I have had excellent art teachers who believed in me. I was nearly a high school dropout. I was failing pretty badly in a lot of my classes in high school. Very disengaged. I wasn't interested in being in there, but I like to draw and I like to make art outside of school. I signed up for an art class and really took off from there. I want to create those experiences and those spaces for young people. I think to do that work, to create a space where people can come together and make art together. It really always it's been a passion of mine.
Would you say that the research takes it to a larger scale?
I see it as, first there's the training of teachers in a pre-service program like you're in, but then there's also the research component, because I also had questions as I taught. And I really got interested in studying social media in 2006 when my former high school students sent me this invitation to this thing called Facebook. And I was like, what's Facebook? So, I made an account and signed up, and I was amazed to see them start this art group that connected all of my former students. Some of them who had never gone to school together were now interacting and making art together.
What year was this again?
This was 2006.
2006, wow.
And I said to myself, it's transforming the way young people learn and how they learn by looking at each other's work. We always knew in art education that peer learning is sometimes more important than the artist you show on the wall. Looking at each other's work is a very important aspect of how young people learn. What really excites me as a teacher and as a researcher is the potential to learn from others to transform what we do in formal schooling. So if you think of formal schooling as the kind of transactional model that Paulo Freire talks about, it's all about, I'm going to tell you what to do. This is the canon. This is the art that you're going to make. This is how we follow things. And here are the steps. And we're going to evaluate you if you follow those steps. There's important things that can be learned in that experience, but where is the room for the individual and their experiences and their voice to come out? This is one of the powerful things in art that we really have to take advantage of.
So how do you feel that the community's participation in this research would help change or improve those conditions?
I was lucky enough to have an interview already with someone from your community, and just from that one interview alone, I learned so much new things that I hadn't considered before in terms of how one teaches oneself using digital tools and leverages that and works with others online to empower their learning, to find motivation, but also to learn skills and techniques. I'm just excited to talk to makers who have a lot to say, and I think we have a lot to learn from them.
Personally, what I really appreciate, I guess, or what I really like about this is that it feels like it lets the learner play a more active role in shaping the conditions that they learn in, particularly in the art education space. And for me, that's important because I went into education almost a little conflicted, because there are a lot of problems structurally with the way that schools operate oftentimes. And I didn't want to feel kind of like a cop in a cardigan, which is, we're wearing matching cardigans, by the way.
I know, we are. It's a nice cardigan.
Yes, thank you. If you didn't notice, it's actually the official teacher's uniform, I've decided. So this is the attire for the day.
Course.
But absolutely would be inappropriate otherwise. It's like going to work without a tie. So, but I was worried when I was getting into education because I thought, what if I go into this and I end up perpetuating the same structural issues? And so to see that there's this type of work being done that really centers the learners themselves, that centers the community, that's really important to me personally. So that was my draw into this research. And it's the reason why I'm hoping that the people watching this get inspired to participate themselves, because it's a chance for you to shape things, and I think that's really important in education.
Absolutely. And it still can be a very uncomfortable position for teachers to be in, because teachers naturally assume a place of power, and it takes a bit of relinquishing of that power to pursue that kind of creation of that kind of space. And I keep coming back to that analogy of creating a space, because it really is, I think, what we can do best as teachers is not to see ourselves as causally, like trying to input any kind of directive or control, but we can create conditions. We can create spaces. They're always tenuous. They're always fragile, because we do exist within larger structures, and, that can suffocate in terms of not being equitable spaces. But it's, I think that's why we do this work, to really the struggle of trying to continually make the educational space equitable and inclusive, and I think something that we can all learn from.
If you had a message to people who are in school right now in an art class, or maybe even people who are aspiring to become art educators themselves, young artists, is there something in particular that you would like to say to them if they're listening?
Yeah, I would just say that the work is needed. The world needs good teachers. The world needs people who can make places where people feel included and feel empowered to share their ideas about the world around them. As humans, we tell stories, and we tell stories in different ways, not just in eloquent oratory or videos, but also in the things that we make. How do we make that difference visible, not just in how we look or how we talk, but also in how we think? We look at network theory and we think about how networks work in the world, like the internet. It follows what we call a power law dynamic. Once enough associations in the network assemble around a hub, everybody starts looking at it. Algorithms are built that way. Power is built that way. So more power begets more power. More associations beget more associations. More money begets more money. So for instance, more views for a video, once you pass a certain threshold, it becomes exponential growth. And it has a homogenizing effect. We have to be careful, like as a teacher, to go, okay, we're all kind of like, we're fixating on this one way of being and thinking and making in the classroom. This is where a teacher can come in and say, what haven't we looked at? Who isn't being heard?
What I really like about that is the idea not just of looking at who's in the space, right, but also who's absent from it, and then looking at what might be causing that absence, right? I feel like that's really important in creating more equitable conditions, and I feel like that's part of what this study is doing, that it's a chance for people to be heard, but also for different forms of that knowledge making to be valued in this, in this academic space, in the conditions that are training future teachers. I feel like it allows that training to be informed not just by who's in the space, but by who's been excluded, and what's being built outside of this structure, and how is that working, and what is being built there that doesn't work within this existing structure. It doesn't just look at that work, it looks at all of the surrounding conditions that led to it, and so that's part of why I'm really excited about this. I'm hoping to learn more about that from all of you. Thank you so much, Juan, for coming on today and talking to us about being a teacher and about this really great research that you're doing. I guess that we're doing together and participating. And, I look forward to potentially having you in the future. If you all want to hear more, talking about art in cardigans, we're here for it. You just let us know. You leave a comment about that and we'll get right to it. So again, if you are interested in participating in that study, you can go ahead and sign up using the link in the description. You can find out more details using the link in the description as well. Or you can send an email to stacy.ken@mail.concordia.ca. If you have any questions for me or for Juan, you can go ahead and leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day and a great week. And you take care of yourselves. All right, thanks. Bye.